Hello people, this is Max from Red Dawn Entertainment, and today is the first of my Max Rant series. Today is going to be super special because we're going to talk about Captain Marvel and Spider-Man Far From Home, two upcoming films. In fact, Spider-Man Far From Home just released its trailer the day of recording this, and I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later. But first, I want to touch upon Captain Marvel. Now, I'm not a big Captain Marvel fan. I don't know too much about the character. I honestly didn't care much until they dropped the reference at the end credit scene of Infinity War. And so I took some time, did what I could to research the movie, and I've been catching up with all the trailers. And I have to say, there's things I'm really looking forward to, and things I'm not. One of those things I'm not looking forward to is the character who's playing Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. That is probably the biggest problem with this film for me. Or at least based on the trailers. A lot of what I'm going to say is just based on the trailers, and should only be taken with a grain of salt. It's an opinion, not fact. I'm not trying to say the character sucks and you should also think she sucks at, her role. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. Just want to talk about it, share my opinion, and I don't hate the actress. I don't hate her role. I just don't. Based on the trailers, I don't think she's doing much with it. I think she's really bland, monotone, and from what I know of Captain Marvel, from the comics, and from other media that involves her, she's a pretty extroverted character, pretty boisterous, and, very out there. She's not shy, she's not bland. She's not this...
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
That's kind of how she talks, and it feels, it's what I've heard other people describe it as flat acting. And that kind of bothers me because, from what I know, that's not how this character is supposed to be. And that could be a big problem too, because, if the main character of the movie we're supposed to be watching, and I'm supposed to like for whatever reason, is not doing a great job with acting, how am I supposed to, be connected? If she talks like a robot. And, it's supposed to be this big event, too. It's the first female superhero movie from the MCU, which, to be honest, is actually rather disappointing compared to that. Their competitor, DC, already did Wonder Woman like 2 years ago. That movie was actually really good, and a lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't, and I understand those criticisms on it. But I'm not here today to talk about Wonder Woman. We're here today to talk about Captain Marvel. And I feel like the trailer doesn't sell it. None of the trailers have really sold it for me. The third one, actually was the best one by far. We saw a bit more character and emotion out of Brie Larson, so, there's some hope. And again, it's the trailer, so it could be totally different in the theater. And I'm hoping that. I really, really want this film to succeed. I'm not so much of a fan of the MCU, and I really want a lot of these movies to succeed, and for me, I want them to be entertaining. I want myself to like them, but if they're not going to be good movies, I'm not going to like them. And that's another video for another day. I'm going to say a lot of controversial things like that. And I'm sorry, people. I just don't like a lot of the MCU films. Most of them are meh, but there's just some that I just can't like, and I've gotten into a few arguments over the past about it. I'm going to save that for another day. We're talking about Captain Marvel here, and more specifically, we're talking about the trailers. And what I think based on the trailers, what I think this movie's going to be like. And until I actually see it, and I actually get a chance to really experience this whole movie, I can't say much fact. A lot of this is just going to be opinion, and so bear with me here. Captain Marvel, based on the trailers, looks to be kind of an average superhero film, which is not a great thing, but it is not such a bad thing. It doesn't look like they're trying anything new, anything different, anything interesting. Instead, it looks like we're just playing it safe here. And I would think this would be a big movie. We're getting, one of the most powerful characters in the MCU roster by far, at least on the superhero side. Second, we're getting the first female-led Marvel superhero story, and, for the first time, which is kind of a good thing. I mean, I'm not liberal or anything, and I'm not like, we have to have a female-driven superhero movie. The point of a movie is not to include diversity. It is not to include everyone. It is meant to be good. Movies should strive for greatness. If they shoot for the moon, the worst thing that could happen is they miss and land among the stars. And even bad movies end up as cult classics, and that's fine. People can like whatever. But you gotta admit, some movies are just crap sometimes. So Captain Marvel, it just is average. It's not. They're playing it safe, and this isn't a movie you should be playing safe with. You know, let's get some outside the box ideas for this. And I mean, this goes for all MCU films. This is my biggest criticism of any of them, is they play it too safe. And that's what I loved about Infinity War. Literally, one movie before Captain Marvel, killed off half the universe. And of course they're gonna come back. We know they're gonna come back. But it's how they do that. And the fact that they did that, the fact that they let Thanos win, is something I've wanted, not that specifically, but I've wanted more dark and serious moments in the MCU. And it kind of felt like, they were just hiding it, like, seriously, you gave us all these crappy movies. And I'll take that with a grain of salt. Maybe not crappy, but you gave us all these kind of mediocre films. And then finally we get a really good villain, a really good story, and a really great, movie. It's like, where'd you pull that out of? And now we get to Captain Marvel. It's like, Ant-Man and the Wasp was meh. But it's like, okay, Captain Marvel's gotta be better. It's gonna explain more. And it's average. At best, the trailer shows it to be an average movie, and I really hope it's not. I hope it blows my mind. I hope it is awesome. But I'm not expecting that. The good parts to the trailer, there's a lot of good things to like about it. It definitely shows off that, Captain Marvel and kind of the world we're supposed to be looking at in the 90s of the MCU, It looks pretty good. We're going to get an origin on Nick Fury. We're going to see more of Agent Coulson outside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is by far one of my favorite parts to the MCU. That's another video for another day. We're going to see so much that is... Essentially, this is a prequel to the MCU, and that's awesome. It's epic. This is something I've really wanted to see for a while. Kind of go back, and we're going to see, how Nick Fury loses his eye or whatever, how it gets burned. I don't know what happens to it, and we'll find that out. We see some of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff get we're seeing Ronan the Accuser in this movie, and maybe some other stuff that has to, kind of a prelude to Guardians of the Galaxy. And out of all of this, the best part of this movie seems to be the Skrulls as the enemies of Captain Marvel for this film. Now, I'm not so much into comic books. I don't get much time to read anything. I love comics, though, and I did take the time to read some of the I did get some time to read the Fantastic Four comic books, the originals. So, in that second comic book, for the first, season of whatever, the first couple of Fantastic Four comic books, we get the introduction to the Skrulls, and I thought they're a pretty cool enemy. Being able to shapeshift and fake being the superheroes. It's kind of a cool idea. And then we get to the Super Skrull in there, and this is what I'm really hoping, is that if we ever get a Fantastic Four movie down the line, we now have an introduction to the Skrulls. And even better, we probably might get to see the Super Skrull. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's the awesome part about this. Fingers crossed, but let's move on. Something I'm not looking forward to, and this is probably my second biggest problem with the movie based on the trailers, and this is something to do with a lot of trailers, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it could be an omen to something worse when the film actually does come out. We don't really get to see too much of Captain Marvel's character. Who is she going to be? What are her problems? The biggest fear for me on this film is that Captain Marvel is just going to turn out to be a Mary Sue, and there's not going to be an interesting, story, an interesting problem that she has to solve. My fear is we're not going to get that. And by the looks of the trailer, the biggest problem she's going to have in this film looks to be finding her past, which is okay, but what does finding out what her past is mean? What does that fix for her? What is her biggest issue? It doesn't necessarily have to be a personal conflict, but what is it that she has to overcome to be a better superhero? Now, in Wonder Woman, we did get to see, Wonder Woman wasn't much of a Mary Sue. She was kind of naive in the beginning. She was dumb, naive. She kind of assumed that, all the world's problems could be solved with, like, one or two, bad guys. And she learns as the movie goes along that that's not the case, that the world is a much more serious place, and she has to grow up. Where is that in Captain Marvel? I don't know. And I really hope the film does put this in, and that's why I'm not so worried about it. I'm terrified that they're just going to make her a Mary Sue, because they did that with Ray, but it could be a whole different story with this movie. So I'm just really hoping they don't, because there's no indication from the trailer, and that's not an uncommon thing. A lot of movies, their trailers don't show off the main character's personal conflicts, and that's fine. But it doesn't help reassure those fears that Captain Marvel's just gonna end up being a Mary Sue. And I mean, she's already on that way. She's kind of being considered one of the most powerful characters of, in the Avengers universe, but on the superhero side at least. That she's an all-powerful character who's going to come in and save the day. Great, that's the beginning of a Mary Sue. I really hope we're going to see her deal with some flaws and personal issues that she has to overcome to save the day. I at first assumed, hey, this should be okay. This trailer can just be average, the movie can just be average, maybe it'll be, better than I thought, but it'll just be average. Kinda gets put in the shadow when you watch the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. And now, before I get into this, I don't like Tom Holland. I really think his version of Spider-Man is the weakest that we've seen in film iterations. I mean, even compared to the new one, Into the Spider-Verse, weak. He is very weak. I mean, yeah, we get to see some cool costumes, and the Vulture was pretty cool in Homecoming, but his performance didn't sell me. It didn't sell me Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire has, and even Andrew Garfield has. When the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer totally, blew my mind. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good trailer. A bit cringy at times, but it's to be expected, and plus, I'm not such a big fan. That trailer sells me on that movie. And I thought the villains would have sold me on it, but, Mysterio's kind of weak in it, but as of today, it just dropped, and I wasn't planning on talking about it. I was just going to talk about Captain Marvel, but now I have this to talk about, and I'm super excited. I am ecstatic that this trailer looks so good, and that could be a total, red herring for the movie. The movie could suck. There's a 50-50 chance that, these movies are either going to be good or they're going to be bad. Not much we can do about it until we see the movie, and I'm really hoping Spider-Man Far From Home looks good. We're getting the elementals, we're going to get Sandman. It looks awesome. I know Molten Man, but I don't know who he is from the comics. I haven't really gone into that. I know Hydro Man and Sandman pretty well. Oh, they're pretty epic. And then there's the Lightning Guy or something. Anyways, so there was that whole battle. That looks awesome. And I really can't wait to see Spider-Man fight with these guys. And I'm a little disappointed by what the next part means, but we're seeing Mysterio, and he's pulling a Syndrome from Incredibles here. That, he's going out and being the good guy, and I'm pretty sure, it's obvious that he's most likely going to turn out to be a bigger villain, and he's not just a superhero, he's pretending to be a superhero. The elementals are under his power or something, and this is the part that's disappointing to me, is they could be an illusion. And that would just suck, because there's so much you can do with these characters. So if they're just an illusion put on by Mysterio, because that's his real power. It's not, shooting lasers from his hands like in the trailer, and I really hope that isn't all he does in the movie, and I'm pretty sure it's not, because, you can't just throw in Mysterio and have him just shoot lasers from his hands. He is a master of illusion. He does, all this cool stuff. He's able, in the comics, to pretend to be Spider-Man, to get Spider-Man, in trouble with everyone. And I think that's pretty cool. He's one of my favorites, and originally, before seeing the trailer, he's the reason I wanted to see this film. Now seeing the trailer, he's kind of the weakest part of it. At least the trailer. So I'm not really ecstatic for him, because his performance looks weak, but it should be cool to see him fight Spider-Man, because this isn't just a bad guy you can punch to take out, use webs or whatever. No, this is a bad guy you've really got to think about. You've got to try a different way. He fights with illusions, and he's not touchable a lot of the time. I don't know how you can imagine that, but you know what I'm talking about. Mysterio is not a villain who can just, be fought with, physically. The part I don't like about this trailer is it just ruins kind of what's going to happen in Endgame. And not like, telling everything that happens, but there's an indication that, obviously superheroes get saved, Fury's there, so obviously Endgame turned out good. We all kind of knew that, so that's not a big deal. The big issue I kind of have is there's an indication that Iron Man is still alive, that Tony Stark has survived Endgame. So that kind of goes on with another theory I have, and I'm going to talk about, my next video may be me talking about Avengers Endgame theories I have, and I've got 3 of them. They're more like opinions and just like, oh hey, wouldn't that be cool to see in the movie? Rather than, actual, like, theory. One of them is, but anyways. So, that's kind of all I really want to talk about with these these trailers. Spider-Man Far From Home looks awesome by this point, and I'm really hoping it's good. I can sit through the cringiness, and Tom Holland, to give him credit for what I've seen, his acting in this trailer is much more mature and much better, and honestly, I'm more excited for that than anything in the Captain Marvel trailer, because her character has kind of no personality, it seems. She's flat, she's monotone. I don't know, her performance isn't selling me. Samuel Jackson's that's probably what I really want to see. This movie is see where he, what happens to his character. I want to see kind of the whole thing of the Skrulls, because there's a whole other part of that. We'll talk about that another day. Overall, both movies I'm going to end up seeing, whether or not they're good, bad, or whatever I think, I'm going to end up seeing them. The movie I'm really excited for is Endgame, to see where all these 10 years of Marvel films are going to finally culminate into what this ending is going to be like. And it's not the ending for the universe, hopefully. After it, we're going to get the first of what seems to be Phase 4, which is Spider-Man Far From Home, and hopefully that will make the next movies much better. And that will lead to something else, maybe a new Avengers, or another group. Heck, we might even get X-Men, and maybe a better, more comic-accurate version. I got another theory on that for another. I know this whole video, a lot of this is just me. Hey, I got this cool thing. I want to talk about this cool thing, but I'm gonna say that for another day. I really want to limit my time on these videos, so I'm not going over like 50 minutes, because I can do that. I could talk forever, and I spent a lot of time trying to really cram down my thoughts into one video thing, just trying to get below 15 minutes. Anyways, that is my rant on the Captain Marvel trailers and the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, and I'm really excited to see where these go. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'd love to do more of these videos, and I probably will. I'm definitely going to talk about a lot of more stuff than just Marvel, and probably even go expand into DC, although there's not much to talk about now with that. I love superheroes, so I'm going to talk a lot about that, of course. But, video games too. I'm going to try to make more content, and every time I make more content, I'm going to keep improving my work on these videos. I'm going to try to make each one better than the last. I'm also doing a lot of stop motion videos. Right now I'm working on a big Lego stop motion project, and if you're a really big fan of Marvel, I suggest maybe once it comes out, check it out, because it's going to be Avengers Infinity War related, so that should be cool. So thanks again. This was Max from Red Dawn Entertainment, and I'll see you guys next time.